This is Taking Stock. I'm Michael McKee, sitting in for Pim Fox. Well, this recession has turned a lot of people into accidental entrepreneurs. They can't find a job with a company, so they go to work for themselves. But before they hang out that shingle, they're going back to school to brush up on their skills. Amy Junker follows education stocks at Robert W. Baird in Milwaukee. Amy, welcome. A lot of these stocks have had a good run. The latest news on the economy encouraging, though. Does that mean investors have missed the bell?
I don't think so. I think that there's still opportunity to make money in the education stocks. The fundamentals have been very strong across all of the companies, but going forward, the stocks that we're recommending are the companies that have the best opportunity for growth regardless of the macro environment. So companies specifically like Strayer, STRA, Capella Education, CPLA, and American Public Education, which specifically targets the military. So we do think that there still are opportunities to make money.
Well, I want to take those one at a time, but first let me step back and say, what is it about those companies that makes them the kind that will continue to make money in the long run?
Sure. So Strayer and Capella in particular target working adults, so people that have jobs presently that are going back to beef up their resume. So even as the economy improves, there's still a large group of people that will be looking to get re-educated, and so they're well positioned in that sense. Capella specifically, 100% online, targets graduate level programs. 85% of their students are in PhDs and master's programs, and so they're growing tremendously in an online environment. And then Strayer targets primarily bachelor's and master's degree programs and are expanding their school presence both online and on ground westward, starting from the D.C. area.
And you say Strayer is the highest quality company on your list. What do you mean by that?
Sure. I think the management team is really top-notch. It's a management team that's been in place since 2001. Rob Silberman is the CEO, and he has been running the company for a number of years and has been very successful. He came in and decided to take a very strong brand name, Strayer University, and expand it westward. And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, he's really done a good job is moving forward and doing what he said he's going to do without any missteps during that time. And
American Public Education, you say, targets the military?
That is correct. So they've historically, about 85% of their students are affiliated with the military. The other 15% are in the civilian population, but more like Homeland Security, public service, and so people that tend to, the areas that people tend to get into when they exit the military.
Now, are all three of these going to be able to continue to maintain decent growth rates, or is there a possibility that as the economy starts to pick up, people start to drop out, they're going to fall back some?
I actually think that all three will continue to maintain. With Strayer and Capella in particular, they tend to be less counter-cyclical, more acyclical, and maybe even a little bit of cyclical to them, because as employers start to hire back, that's the pool that those two companies are pulling from. So I think that will be a positive. With American Public, we also have the benefit of the new GI Bill that recently was passed, and so we'll have a bigger pool of veterans and their family members that are eligible to receive those funds, and so we could see an increase from those as well. Speaking of funds,
how do people pay for these schools?
Sure. For the Strayer and Capellas of the world, typically about anywhere from 70 to 85% of the revenue is coming from Title IV funds. So that's Stafford loans, Pell grants, federal funds coming from that, and those dollars are all available. The existing administration, as well as the previous, had made sure that that there was plenty of money for those students. The remaining part of that is either coming from out of pocket, corporate reimbursement, or private loans, which for these students, Capella and Strayer in particular, they've had no problem accessing those private loans because they are employed, so they don't fall into that subprime category, which has been an issue for some of the other schools. American Public, those students are getting assistance from the Department of Defense as well as the GI Bill, and then on the civilian side, the Title IV funding as well.
All right, this is a broad space. There are companies, obviously, besides these three, but they're the ones that are most likely to succeed. Are the others going to fall away as the economy gets better?
That's my fear, is that as the economy does start to improve, the companies that target more of the trade school, automotive programs, short-term healthcare, those tend to be more countercyclical. And as those students drop out of those programs to enter the workforce, to go back to a job in construction or other opportunities come out, we think that they'll see decelerating trends specifically in their new student starts as well. Then it will lead to margins coming under some pressure as well.
We were just showing a banner on the television version of the program here that you have an outperform rating on Rosetta Stone. That's a different kind of school. That's a language school.
It is, and it's actually not a school as much as it is a program to learn a language through a series of CDs. It's a very unique program in that they do not teach language via translation. They do it like you learn when you're a child, which is through pictures and associating it with the language. So if you were to study Spanish, for instance, there wouldn't be any English in it as translation. And it's been a very interesting program, fundamentally a very strong company, and one that we really like the story.
Although you see some volatility in the stock.
Yes, so the company recently announced that they were going to miss the upcoming quarter, their guidance, because of some the non-revenue items, some expense items. The revenue is still strong, demand is still strong. However, they spent during the quarter on some experimental media that ended up not panning out for them. It's a company that has a lot of entrepreneurial ways about it, and they allow their managers to spend somewhat as they see fit. And in this quarter, that unfortunately didn't work out for them, and so they've it's presented an opportunity for people to step in.
All right, an opportunity in the education space. Amy Yunker of Robert W. Baird, thank you very much for being with us.